Human interrelations have been a part of our lives since the beginning of the civilizations. Relationships started in families, to tribes, to building nations. These nations are accompanied by great conflicts, turning into their own built alliances that waged into wars. One of the most noted wars is the Second World War. This brought great depression into those who experienced it. Jobs were lost, bombs were blasted, and people were killed. At the end of World War II in 1945, the governments and colonies were focused on the building of civilizations back to how they were supposed to, and continuing them in a far off better state. Even if the Second World War has ended, conflicts remained high, especially at the two great power alliances that formed the Cold War in 1947. It was a state of political and military tension after World War II between powers in the Western and Eastern blocs. After competitions of military weaponry and technologies, the show-offs of nuclear weapons, and even space explorations, the Cold War had to end, leaving 1991 as a victorious year for all the nations. Yet, Cold War posed a great disturbances for the lives of the people who only knew the life of war as a means of living. The aftermath of this conflict became a blur in the lives of the people. During the administration of President Bill Clinton, the end of Cold War became an opportunity to prioritize the government funds into other aspects of the society other than military use. Political advancement were expected in the Soviet Union and Eastern Europe, which meant that military funding will be cut, and the major military facilities will not be of greater use than as it was before. With almost $300 billion a year, military spending covers 44% of the United States' discretionary budget. There have been proposals in cutting the military budget in the Clinton administration that amount to 2% in real terms. The budget requests for the federal year 1991 through 1997 are $410 billion below the amount needed to keep pace with inflation. But between federal years 1991 and 1996, there has been 13% actual budget reduction. Military cutbacks poses diverse effects in the society with exciting and difficult choices. In 1990, the Commission on Economic Conversion and Disarmament estimated the loss of 81,000 jobs and another 73,000 jobs indirectly due to the cutbacks in military spending. This number is only within that year, not considering the amount of about 830,000 jobs from years 1989 through 1995, and resulting 1,066,000 in the private sector. Because of this, there was a need for the discussion and strategic planning for the economic conversion related to military funding. Debates and conferences for the conversion efforts were held all over the United States, and at least two major constituencies were involved in these efforts, mainly the peace movement and the workers and their unions. In order to maintain balance in the economy, government must find ways to lessen the drastic effects of the military build-out. That is why there were four adjustment models for the conversion of the facilities and the livelihood of those affected by the phenomena. These conversion tactics are converting the company, converting the local economic base, converting the workers, and converting the facility. The corporate diversification model is a business adjustment process. The companies left for the funding cutbacks needed the diversification or investment funds of military facilities to lean into commercial markets. Some companies succeeded in bringing down their defense dependency ratio. For example, the Raytheon Company, which purchased two appliance manufacturers, an oil exploration firm, an airplane manufacturer, and a publishing house. This resulted in lowering their defense dependency to under 50% in the mid-1980s. Raytheon adapted the use of microwave system for home use, which in turn made a great success in the company, but not in the re-employment of the defense-related workforce. On one hand, Frisbee Airborne Systems reduced their reliance on military contracts from 95% in 1985 to 35% in 1990. That's a whopping 60% success in the diversification of the company in under 5 years. Good management-employee relationship and a coincidental surge in commercial aircraft sales helped Frisbee make the transition. The local economic development model considers the military bases as the economic stimulus of some communities. The lead agents in this conversion are the economic development planners. The good thing about this process is that the American government is willing to give away the facilities at little or no cost. According to the Office of the Economic Adjustment, some 100 military bases have been converted into schools, businesses, housing, and other uses. Instead of a loss, civilians gained 64,680 jobs in the past 25 years. This gradually revitalizing the defense-dependent communities through economic development strategies. The work adjustment model is almost the same with the economic development model, only it focuses on the people. It converts the individual from a defense worker to a civilian worker. The American government raised different approaches on how a defense worker can be of equal use to a local economic society, like the Title III program of the Job Training Partnership Act, which replaced the Comprehensive Employment and Training Act in 1982. Alongside these approaches is the GI Bill for the veterans of the war. The alternative use model, or the conversion of the facility, envisions alternative use planning as a joint effort of community, labor, and management representatives. In this model, the initiating impulse comes from the outside plant management, from the workers, the community, the peace movement, and local staff. More companies are targeting this model as it is more narrowly construed and more ambitious. Despite all of this, there has no evaluative research on the facility conversion conducted before that makes a room for a keen study and evaluation of existing companies and conversion efforts that had been either helpful or destructive for them. 6 conversion efforts were used to study this model. These are the Quincy Shipyards, Blonox Foundry, Philadelphia Naval Yards, McDonnell Douglas Aircraft, Lockheed Shipyards, and Unisys Defense Computer Systems. Also, comparison of these cases are in these manner: leadership and participation, management cooperation, the need for information, early warning and disclosure, technical assistance, and the next steps, social cost calculus and public policy.